Alright, on this vehicle here, and I don't even know what I'm working on here, actually, to start this video off with, but it's the least of the concerns if you can see what I'm talking about there in the corner of the condenser. So I'm performing the recovery here on this Honda, and I think it's a Pilot. Yeah, this is a Pilot. Honda Pilot, and the year, I wonder if it's after 2016. Where are we at? Oh, 2016. What a coincidence. Just like the 2016 Civics and Corollas with the leaky condensers. So looking at this, what do you see here? You see this big oil stain right here? That was a refrigerant leak, but it's on the liquid line, and so a lot of oil comes out of it. Compared to if it was up on the vapor line, if they were the same size leak, usually, not all the time, but usually there's less oil than after it's condensed to a liquid with the oil in it and it comes out. So what I'm doing is I'm weighing how much refrigerant comes out, and it looks like we're already down, to let them know that this customer came in an accident. You see a little bit of collision right here from where the plastic hit. It did no damage to the tubes really. It just barely touched the condenser, no leaking. But this was pre-existing, and this is really old pre-existing. So that means the customer was running the air conditioning, having the compressor spin with next to no refrigerant from what I can see, because it pulled down into a vacuum in about 120 seconds, which means there's very little refrigerant. And I tested the refrigerant, 3.7% air. See if I could get close and let you guys see that. 3.7% air, 100% YF. And let me make sure they're both all the way open, because I really want to cover all the refrigerant out of here. So we got 165 grams out of the system. That should have 725 grams. And probably after I clean out the unit, I'll probably get close to about 200 grams out of there, because this is mostly vapor. So they definitely ran this vehicle low on refrigerant. Does this have a clutch? Can I see a clutch down there? Yes, I see a clutch down there. Can I get my hand to it and at least spin it? See what it feels like. Sometimes you can feel something, sometimes you can't. But if you can feel something when it's this low on refrigerant, it's grindy or it has a tight spot in it, and you have it when you're under a vacuum, you definitely should have no pressure at all against your fingers. See, right now I'm spinning it, going through the motions, seeing if I feel anything. But that's not a 100% indicator that the compressor's damaged or not. But if you do feel something at this stage in the game, you have to let the owner know. You have to let the owner of the shop who's working on it know that there's a problem with this compressor. It could be working, but it's going to fail at some time. There's physical damage. You could feel a tight part, so you have to notate this down in your work order. Cover your ass. So let's do this one more time. We're just gonna do this so I can show you how much comes out of this vehicle, 2016 Honda Pilot, that apparently had a leak here and has a smaller, more recent one here. And why I say more recent, it has a little bit of oil residue from where it started, but by the time the oil wicked out to this length, it hasn't accumulated a lot of road grime and dust to turn it black. But it does have the clear, shiny oil to it. Doesn't quite have a shine to it, but it's the wetting of the oil. And the dark buildup tells me it's old, it's not new from this accident. And let's go on to purge, and let's watch the quantity. Okay, here we go to purge. There we go, purge, hit the purge. There we go. 200. 210. So what did I say? It would go up to about 200. It went to 210. I was 10 grams off. Got to recalibrate. My internal calibration needs help. Okay. So that's it on this one. I'll notate them the potential problem for compressor. The other thing I'll do is I'll ask to see this condenser when the new one goes back on. I'm going to be looking inside the discharge of the compressor. This is the high pressure discharge gas from the compressor. If there's some burning going on, overheating, there'll be like a black charcoal gray powdery material, and it'll be inside this upper tube right here, and it'll be deposited. Instead of being looking like nice shiny clean machined aluminum, it'll be black or dark gray and powdery. And then the other thing is, if it looks dry, there's absolutely no oil residue. That's because all the oil is stuck back into two evaporators, and you have dry, clean refrigerant with almost no oil inside here, and so it wipes away the oil, making this nice and dry right inside here instead of an oily residue. And if you went to take out this receiver dryer and you pull out the bottom down here, you'll see it's not oily because the refrigerant swept the oil out of here. It made it back to the expansion valves. It went through the low pressure, larger tubes of the evaporator. The oil accumulated in the evaporators and never made it back. And one more thing, if you took this compressor off right now and you did an oil balance charge, and let's say the manufacturer says that compressor should have, let's say, we're just going to use a round number, 60 grams, 60 milliliters. And I go to pour this compressor out running in this situation, maybe one drop comes out. Why did one drop come out? Because most of the oil is all back in the evaporators. And people wonder why compressors fail, or fail after being recharged and put back into service. Now, some other scenarios can happen here. You can have a compressor that's ready to go, but there's no pressure on it, and there's just enough lubricant in there to keep it sprinting. And because it's so low on refrigerant, the high side pressure doesn't go up, so it's not under stress. There's no liquid refrigerant and oil to come back and clean out this compressor and clean out any debris in this compressor that could be damaged. And now I'm going to charge it back up. There's going to be a new condenser that goes on here, but there's some debris inside the compressor, and you fill it back up. Now you have this beautiful solvent, which is refrigerant, and you have all that oil in those two evaporators in the system. Is this two evaporators or is this just one? Let me not open my mouth. I think this is just one. Just one. Sorry about that. The one evaporator. I was thinking of that other car on the other side, on the shop on the across the street. So it comes back. It grabs the metal debris and piston ring material out of the worn, overheated, low lubricant compressor. It mixes with the oil and the refrigerant. It gets rotated and ejected out of the compressor. It comes along and it starts plugging the condenser, and it gets stuck in, most of it gets stuck in the filter that's down in the receiver dryer, never makes it through, and the compressor is set up for a failure a year later, and the customer could come back in a day, a month, a week, or a year, and he probably won't think it had anything to do with the shop or the reason for the initial loss of oil and running low, but this damage was already started. So notated, documented, and inform the customer. All right, guys, I'll see you later. Let's get out of this one. And remember, always use your nylog so you don't have vacuum leaks. True Tech Tools.